I don't really understand what's going on, but I can tell you that, as it was already stated on the House floor, the only currency that we have when we are legislators is our word. It is the reason that McCarthy did not survive. And so if Mike Johnson thinks he's going to get any favors from the Democrat, I got news from him. He's not going to get any favors out of us. So we will see how this Republican trifecta decides that they're going to govern or not. But I can tell you, if you thought that we were unproductive in the 118th.
Donald Trump's second term hasn't even begun, and it's already a disaster. Because as we saw, Democrats once again had to be the adults in the room and save Donald Trump and Elon Musk and the MAGA majority in the House from a government shutdown. Because they are unable to govern. It's what we talked about so much on the campaign trail, and people are finally starting to see. And although there wasn't a government shutdown and disaster was averted, Donald Trump was still humiliated by Democrats in a couple of ways, and not only that, kind of humiliated by Republicans as well. And we are going to get into all of that and much more. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really means the world to me now. Before we get into what has Donald Trump so absolutely furious with Democrats who nuked his plan, I want to hear a little bit more about this spending bill from Jasmine Crockett.
As Democrats are swooping in like supermen and superwomen to make sure that they can take care of the American people. But I just need the American people to have longer memories, because as you stated, this Congress ended on the same note that it began. But for some reason, we will not have a Speaker Jeffries on January 3rd. We knew that these Republicans in their slim majority were unable to get anything done. And the crazy part is that Nancy Pelosi had the same slim majority. But guess what? We weren't always in a state of crises, and they are going to go into the 119th with an even slimmer majority.
Yeah, she also apparently had a calculator on her phone, which maybe Mike Johnson doesn't have, to be able to say, oh, wait, we're going to have a problem here. Let's deal with that ahead of time. I think one of the things that surprised me the most this week was the immediate response. Elon Musk tweets something. Then Donald Trump seems to be following that and making threats to members of Congress, and that seems to have an influence on things. Tell me about that dynamic, whether you care about it and whether you think it's influential.
I do care about it, and it's one of the reasons that I did vote present instead of actually voting for the bill. I wouldn't vote to actually, throw things into disarray as we are approaching Christmas. But I want to be clear, this is not how I legislate. I absolutely think it was a mistake for them to even be influenced by Elon Musk, by him saying, well, look at how many pages this bill was, and look at how many pages this bill is. And so automatically that makes it clean, and that it's automatically somehow taking money out. That's not the case. There were a lot of, I'm a lawyer, right? And we do legislation. So yes, when we write things, they absolutely take up pages. Things such as preventing him from being a great investor in things over in China, right? That's what he really wants thrown out. Now, listen, MAGA may believe that he is their ultimate savior. It's amazing because they allegedly don't like immigrants, but I guess they in love with this one. I don't really understand what's going on, but I can tell you that, as it was already stated on the House floor, the only currency that we have when we are legislators is our word. It is the reason that McCarthy did not survive. And so if Mike Johnson thinks he's going to get any favors from the Democrat, I got news from him. He's not going to get any favors out of us. So we will see how this Republican trifecta decides that they're going to govern or not. But I can tell you, if you thought that we were unproductive in the 118th, just wait until the 119th.
One of the things that we're going to be discussing a lot, you've probably been involved in these discussions, is the sort of the positive job that Democrats have right now, right? There are a lot of people who are talking about licking wounds and examining what happened and all that kind of stuff. But in some systems, when you are not in control of the government, you have a very official and important job to do in holding that government to account. And it does seem like that is exactly what this moment demands, right? Democrats coming up and saying, here's our plan, here's our alternative, here's how we think this should look. And worry about the sort of the party machinations in the background.
Yeah, one of the things that you mentioned earlier, Mike Johnson knew he was going to have a numbers problem. Because guess what? Every single CR has had to have Democrats provide the votes. That's
Yes.
the only reason the government has ever stayed open, is because the Democrats have provided the votes, because we've gone up on suspension. It's required 2/3 of the House, because they can't even get it through the Rules Committee. Now, I don't know what rules is going to look like next term, whether or not the people that are consistently providing issues for him to get bills out of rules, if they're going to be removed from rules. Right now, Chip Roy is actually running to be the chair of the Rules Committee, which could be a huge thorn in his side, but it is the speaker that will have to make that decision. But at the end of the day, Ali, one of the things that Elon Musk and Vivek and Trump didn't talk about is the fact that there was $90 million on basically page 1 of the legislation that is for his inauguration party. The idea that we would say it's okay for you to get $90 million for one day and then cut out $190 million for children when it comes to cancer research was absolutely mind-blowing. But I thank you to the democratically controlled Senate, because on their way out of the majority, they decided that they were going to do some good. They made sure that that funding got back in. They made sure that the Social Security Fairness Act was taken care of. And so I am so eternally grateful for the Democratic majority in the Senate for figuring out how to fill in some of those gaps that were absolutely removed because Elon said so.
You know, you live in a world of policy and politics at the same time. So this role of being able to say, here's what's wrong with your policy and here's what we do, seems like it's built for you for the next couple of years, right? That this is an opportunity for Democrats to say, look, whatever your reasons were for voting for Republicans or for voting for Trump, and maybe it was the price of, who knows, whatever it was, this is what governing can look like, because we are now entering another Congress where the basic constitutional mandate for Congress to govern and to appropriate funds, they have difficulty getting past go on.
Yeah, we are 6 months behind again, right? We were 6 months behind in getting our FY24 budget done. And now with us being pushing this out until March, we will be 6 months behind again in getting FY25 done. Our budgets are only for a year, but you're absolutely right. You know, I currently serve on the oversight committee.
Yep.
That is where so many people are able to see me go ahead and go after them as they lie in broad daylight and make sure that I can bring truth to that. I am going to continue to be a thorn in their side because the American people deserve it. And frankly, my district absolutely elected me with a mandate with the strongest numbers in the entire state of Texas of any Democrat or Republican member of Congress that was challenged. And so I am going to make sure that the American people can know the nice things that they can have if they just put the right people in power. And that means putting the Democrats back on top.
Well, part of that role is going to be play out in these hearings. And that's going to be something that's, I think people don't always think they want to listen to congressional hearings, but that's where you're going to have to see accountability over the course of the next couple of years. Great to see you again. Thank you for being with us. If I don't see you before Christmas, you have a Merry Christmas. Jasmine Crockett is the Democrat of.
Now I can tell you personally that Jasmine Crockett is certainly on the nice list this year, and you can tell why one of the greatest and best rising stars in the Democratic Party saying what I think needs to be said, that sure, we need to avert a government shutdown right now. Of course, it would be an absolute disaster, but Democrats are not planning on bailing out the Trump administration over and over and over again. Of course, we don't want people to be hurt by the horrible decisions they make if we can prevent that. But if Donald Trump wants a circus in the House, if his Senate is an absolute chaos, so be it great, you guys, deal with that yourself. We're going to happily watch it all fall apart and fall apart. It is because, as I've talked about in previous videos, there's not really a strong leadership structure within the Republican Party right now, because you have co-presidents and Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and you have your Speaker of the House and Mike Johnson, who doesn't actually have any real authority other than following the orders of Donald Trump. And that didn't even work, because SP, part of this spending package that Donald Trump really wanted, the only thing he actually cared about was raising the debt ceiling, something that Republicans fought Democrats over during President Biden's presidency. But now that the shoe was on the other foot, of course, they've changed their tune, but Republicans didn't want to raise the debt ceiling, and Democrats weren't just going to let Donald Trump get a win without conceding anything. And so it didn't happen. And Donald Trump is pretty furious about that, as we can tell, because he posted this on Truth Social. Trump wrote Congress must get rid of or extend out to perhaps 2029 the ridiculous debt ceiling. Without this, we should never make a deal. Remember, the pressure is on whoever is president. So as we can expect, Donald Trump, always trying to blame everyone else, won't take accountability. Although he's acting like he's president right now, he's trying to blame everything on Joe Biden for the mess that he has caused with his MAGA majority in the House. But Donald Trump didn't get the debt ceiling raised this deal because Republicans were unable to do so. And Democrats just nuked his plan. They weren't going to help him out. They wanted to go back to the previous bill. And it's not just Democrats who are kind of laughing at Donald Trump and realizing the mess that they are in. It's Republicans as well. Congressman Tim Burchett took to, I think it was Twitter where he posted this video. Maybe it was Instagram, admitting that Republicans kind of got played. Let's take a look.
Granted, that's a lot of money, but we don't trust this administration with a nickel, and we're going to give them $100 billion to play with for 30 days. And the president just now gave a billion to Ecuador. But nobody's really sure what that's about. And another billion, of course, went to Ukraine without our input. So anyway, it's just a CR. It's just a continuation of bad spending policies that Schumer and Pelosi. And the odd thing is, they got on the floor and said they were going to be against it. The Democrats were going to be against it. And a huge number voted for it. I'm not sure any of them even voted against it. And then, of course, all the Republicans jumped in. I just feel like we got played. It's just doesn't make any sense with them trashing it and then all voting for it. That makes you feel like something went wrong. Anyway, we'll keep fighting. The government stayed open, and hope everybody has a Merry Christmas. And all my Jewish buddies out there, I hope y'all have a very happy Hanukkah. Thank y'all for sending me here.
This is exactly what the Trump administration is going to look like. It is a mess, not only because of the party infighting within the GOP, but because Donald Trump has no idea how to govern. We've always known this. Even he knows it. He doesn't really care. He's just kind of trying to dictate his legislative agenda via tweet, via Truth Social post. Elon Musk doing the same thing. There's no leadership structure anymore. And because the elements of MAGA are so extreme, you have people fighting over different issues all over the place, and because they don't actually care whether the government stays open or whether any positive legislation is passed, because all they ever care about is making a mess. That's what they're doing right now. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, they don't go to Congress thinking about how they can improve their district, help people out, make America a better place. No, they just want to cause chaos. And so now that they're in control, they don't know what to do except cause more chaos. And that's going to be a lot about the presidency is. And so we want to take the opportunities we can to get the concessions we can when Republicans need us to kind of save them. And when they do, we need to swoop in and take what we can. But when them being in a state of chaos only hurts themselves, fight it out on your own. We will not be there to help you. And we're going to be talking about that every single day on this show, keeping up with Congress and unfortunately keeping up with Donald Trump. And so if you want to stay updated on all that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you're stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.